Welcome back to the Railroads Online playthrough, and this is episode 2, and we are ready to go, all loaded up where we left off from episode 1, ready to head to the log pond and deliver us some logs. But before we go, I'm going to grab a handful of firewood from the firewood depot here, because we need to make a little bit of fire over here in Betsy. She's more than likely run out of fire. And yep, the fire's gone completely out, so we'll throw in 2, put the rest in the stack. And while we're here, we'll let off the brakes. We'll start us rolling. We'll use a little bit of the steam we've got built up. Now this is one thing that I hope they fix, because pressure and temperature are tied together. And it can't be any other way, it's just physically impossible. And well, when the temperature says that it's 10 degrees, it's impossible to have pressure in the boiler. But Heiss has mentioned this before, and I'm very sure that when proper firing comes to the game, that will get addressed. And we need to flip this switch so that we can get out of the loop. And I did run a couple of loads off camera. So you can see there our funds are at $2,900. We nearly have enough money to go and get a consist of stake cars so that we can start running some beams. Let's jump in here. Pressure's still slowly dropping. We're on, 11%. We're slowly gaining speed. It's a heavy train, 10 loaded log cars. It's all level. We'll roll along nicely until the top of the hill, and then it'll pick up speed. And the pressure's still going down. Looks like it's starting to rise. We can give her the beans, and away we go. Once we get over the transition to the downhill, we can back off the power, add a bit of brake so we don't go over speed, and coast on down to the bottom of the hill. We'll stand up on here, just as long as we don't fall off, so we get a good view of the rail cars trailing along there behind us. Yes, it's a very, very gentle slope going around this way without too much length of track. It only adds, say, another 200 metres or so to the length of the track compared to a direct route to have that gentle slope, which isn't very deep groundworks going around that edge. There we go, we're off the slope now. We can off with the brakes and give it all the beans again. Blast on through to the pond. It is a very short route, this. This is one of the quickest routes anywhere on the map. Maybe except for running the tools and pipes from the ironworks to the oil field. That's also a very short route. And we are lined correctly to come into the pond. An idea to start slowing down about here, and we'll turn on all the brakes. I like to have the first car with its brake here because poor Betsy doesn't have much brakes, and as you can see, we're not slowing down very much. And yeah, the pond is already full, so we'll let off this brake. Put this one on about 5. Now, something I wish they'd fix, as you can see here, the pond is currently full and all the outputs are full as well, but you still get paid when you drop off items. You can see the money's going up. Now, it shouldn't do that. One day they'll get around to fixing these little mistakes in the economy, and this can just roll on through until we're done. Stand here and unload as it rolls on past. There, jump on and run to the start. It'll stop eventually because we got a little bit of brakes on there, and there's no load weight on the train anymore. There's only the rail car weights. So all the brakes and all the brakes there. Now I'm going to put it in reverse because we need to get rid of this consist now. Turn off all the brakes. And once we've taken up all the slack, give it all the beans. And maybe we'll get ahead of the train because we need to come down here and line the passing lane. Oh, we're going to get beaten. Haha. Brakes. Brakes. Ah, we'll come at it from the other end then. We'll drive through. Oh, walking and standing on the spot. Yes, that was a missed opportunity to run into that siding. It's got an entrance at each end, so we can come back to this one. Now we can pull up. Brakes on, put the switch the other way. And into forwards. And we'll run to the end down here and turn off these back brakes, otherwise we're not going to move very far. Betsy does have quite a bit of power for such a small locomotive. But yeah, not enough to pull through brakes on full. Off the regulator. Let it roll on in. Should be plenty of room in here to fit 10. Easily. I'm on with the brakes. We're under the last car. This is just something I like to do to make sure we don't get any missing pins. So I'll put on the last brake. Back to Betsy again. Turn off that one. And just push them up tight. Put that one on. Ah. Of course, Betsy will stop on her own brakes, won't she? There we go. Jump out. Let's flip this switch. And now we can run to the, because they're $250 each, and we want 12 of them. And we've got $3,500, so we've got plenty of money to spare. A little bit more speed. We'll have all the speed. And we still don't have any way to turn around at the freight depot. So we're going to need to run all the way through to fast switch. And reverse to the freight depot. Far enough, brakes, flip the switch. Run ahead. We'll come across the middle. This one is the wrong way, yes. Okay, now we'll be lined through all the way to the freight depot. All the beams. Now, something that some people may have noticed if they've ever done any measuring in the game is the numbers that it gives for your corner radius are actually not the radius, they're the diameter. So let's say you put in a 25-degree corner, it's really a 50-degree radius, because the game is using diameter instead of radius. There's a little bit of an error in the maths. And I heard a little rumour this morning that in the current dev build, that has been fixed. So when you build corners in the new update comes out, they will be a lot more open for the same numbers. Twice as open. So most of these corners, like this corner we're going around here, is really a 2% and not a 1%. And all the corners that we've put in at the sawmill and up at the logging camp, we put them in at 25. They're really 50-degree corners, which by railroad standards, they are very tight corners. If you take, I think it's called the Utah Railroad, their tightest corner on that route is 66 degrees. And that's tight. The equivalent of that in game would be 33 degrees. But yes, that's good news to know that they've fixed that. And if you ever want to measure anything in game, in the pins on the official Discord, there are lengths of common pieces. You know, the common objects like the cross tracks and the switch tracks, and how far it is you can place a full length of track. And if you use those as measuring devices, you can work out how far something is that you've made. And well, that's how we've worked out that the radius was actually the diameter, because yeah, quite a few people have done the maths for it. Okay, we need to buy some new rail cars, some tier 2s, and we won't bother about numbers again. We'll just buy them straight up. Takes a couple of seconds for it to, so I can move the mouse around. The mouse is disconnected. And there we go, now we've got it back. And it is taking our money. No, we got a free rail car. Look at that. If you buy too quickly, you get a free rail car. That time took our money. That's 4, and we want 12 of them. So yeah, if you actually want it to take your money, you've got to wait a little bit of time between your purchases. Because if you purchase too quickly, it won't take your money. Some people might like that, getting free rail cars. It kind of defeats the purpose of the game to get everything free. You may as well just use a cheat engine and just gift yourself a heap of money. What would be a good idea as we place these down to put pins and links in them. Pin link. And oh, we already have one in there. Oh, there we go. Didn't think it was going to let us have it. Oh. It's being slow on updating today. It is quite warm here in the outback today, because I'm living outback Australia, if anybody wondered. And yes, because it's a little warm today, my video card is actually clocking itself slower, because I've got it set with the safety so that it will not go over 70 degrees Celsius, and if it does, the overclocking program will basically slow down the clock of the GPU, which prevents going into an over temperature and damaging the card. I'm currently about 400 megahertz underclock because yes, it's quite warm. Get these 6 connected and we'll move them out the way and buy another 6. Oh, missed that one. Pull the pin and put it in again. They will go in at a longer distance. There we go. It's all 6 connected. Pull them forward out of the way. brakes and brakes. We probably should check Betsy's water while we're here as well. Because guaranteed Betsy's getting low on water. And she's down about half. So we need to put about 300 to 400 litres in there. Oh, I overshot it. That should be close enough. Nice. Open the cap. Pull down the spout. And this won't take long to fill because Betsy's only got a very small tank. And obviously missing because it didn't rise. And there we go, the water level's going up. There we go, it's full. It took 4 drips, which is 400 litres. And how much did it say? It says I used 5 drips. Yes, we will need to put some sort of a loop back or some method of turning around here at the freight depot. Whether we put in a Y or a loop or even a turntable. But you need to have some way to turn around here. And tier 2. Yes, it's taking our money. Oh, we don't want that. We want the locomotives. And one more, and now we have 12. How much money do we have left now? $750, and we got 1 free rail car then. $750 towards a Cook Mogul. So that means we're halfway there to be able to start doing some runs to the parts of the map that need a decent locomotive to get up the hills. Three more to go. And sometimes you just got to look up and down the rails. It doesn't keep up with you. And other times it just puts it straight down. But because of how I've laid this track, I've actually laid it from this end back towards that end. So the direction you lay the track in is the direction that the rail cars will face. Because I've laid it that way, all the rail cars will face this way with the brakes at the front. So if you're ever wondering why your rail cars always point the wrong direction on a particular section of track, all you need to do is run over that section of track and basically build over the top of it backwards, and then remove the track underneath before you right click to finalise the spline, and remove the track from underneath. So essentially you've just replaced the track with the track pointing the other direction, and then over that section of track they'll always re-rail in the direction you want them to. Helps if we turn the brakes off, and then it'll start rolling again. There we go. And a brake. 3 more to connect, and then we can go get some beams. And there, full of beams will be a nice heavy load for poor little Betsy. Even though we're on the flat, she's going to struggle to pull it. It'll be the taking off and stopping that'll be the big problem. Once you get moving, she'll keep it moving. So Betsy needs a log in the fire. Get it, the fire's nearly burned down. Brakes on, into forwards, and all the brakes off. And away we go. Take up all the slack. And now give it all the bangs. Off we go back to the sawmill. And we should be lined through to come straight up to the cranes. And this selling the beams will make us money much quicker than what it does by selling logs, or even to run cordwood, because cordwood takes so long to load, being 8 on a rail car. And then the cordwood cars are also more expensive. So it'll take us longer to get to our first locomotive if we rent the cordwood. And then the route's also a longer route to run from the logging camp all the way to the freight depot to sell the cordwood. We could go for longer consists than 12. I like to stay at 12. It seems to play happy with the current physics to stay at 12. You start to get too long, you start to get random derailments for no apparent reason, and that's painful. Run through and run round to the right side, which will line us straight into the beams cranes. We'll get off the regulator now and let it roll around the corner. We should wash off most of the speed by the time we get round to the other side, because corner. going to overshoot it because these are heavy. Oh, I overshot. Look at that. By one, maybe two cars. Came in too hot. And let's see where we pulled up. Oh, that's acceptable. This rail car is not touching this marker. And I will fill up the rest of these off camera. And we're back and all loaded. And now it's time to head off to take them all over to the freight depot and sell them all. Let's make some more money to get that better locomotive. And I think Betsy's fire has gone out, so we'll grab 2 logs and throw them in there. And we'll let off all the brakes. We'll have just a little bit of regulator. And she'll slowly start creeping forward while we go down here and line all the switches through so we go in the right direction. And this one needs to be lined for this way. This one needs to be lined for this way. I go in the correct way. How many logs have we got left? 58. Now if anyone wants to do the maths, they'll find that there's an error there and it shouldn't be 58 used. And that's because with double outputs, so we've got the one side full with the lumber and we didn't take any lumber, it does a double output on the beam side for every cycle that goes through the sawmill. And it's not doing a check as to whether or not there is room to put a double cycle in there. It's only doing a check to see if there's room for a single cycle. So you're using up extra logs because it's not doing its checks. It doesn't do that check. It's not so expensive when you're just working with logs and the lumber, but it gets expensive when you get to the other end of the map and say you're building tools and pipes. And with tools there's an output of 16 per cycle, and if you've got a double output because the pipes is full, that's 32 per cycle. And it will keep putting tools in even though there's not room for 32 tools to go into the pile, so you'll only get a partial make of tools for your one cycle of inputs. And that gets very, very expensive because it's a long way to bring the coal and the raw iron to the ironworks. Gee, I think we should have put some wood on that fire sooner. This is becoming a very slow run. Pressure going up yet? There we go, now we're going up. Give her the beans. And away we go. And it is taking quite a while for it to speed up because 12 loaded beam cars are quite the load for poor little Betsy. She's earning her keep tonight, pulling a heavy load. And I don't think we're even going to get to full speed by the time we get to the end of the straight here. And this is on level ground. You wouldn't want to put much more of a load on poor little Betsy than this. She'll pull it and move it, but she has a bit of trouble getting it up to speed. And well, then if you consider, say we were doing this with lumber, that's even heavier. And she'd struggle even more. And this is why we need a better locomotive before we move on to any of the next industries. Betsy just doesn't cut it to get up those steeper hills. Now we're going to want to start backing off here. Some brakes on. Slow down, Betsy. So we need to change the switch. So we want to come in along the front of the cell platform. And we can turn that one there off. I'll leave that one at about 20%. She should roll through. Up a bit further anyway, because we need to grab the switch at the other end too. We don't want to tip and over off a switch. No derails today. We don't want any derails. So I'll very quickly flip the switch at the other end. And Betsy Shaw should be rolling. Yep, very slowly rolling in. Right, should be able to let the brakes off now and let it go. And we'll get up here ready to sell. We'll bring up our money so we can see how much we make. And we'll drop them off as she rolls past. If we get close enough, they'll go over our heads. And yes, because we don't have any brake sets, she'll actually go faster as she gets lighter, which is a strange mechanic that's in the game, and I haven't worked out what causes it yet. And well, Khan's video from yesterday, he noticed it as well, that when he didn't set any brakes anywhere, as the train got lighter, it sped up. And unload. A few more to go. We'll put this brake on, that'll stop it, because we don't want to run off the end of the track. And another brake, and another brake. Are we stopping? Now we're stopping. Now, made some of our money back. In the next episode, I think we need to do a little bit more track building, because it's no fun going in reverse. So we need to get some sort of a loop or a Y or some way to turn just the locomotive around and move it back past to the other end of the train. And we're kind of out of room where we can build, so we might just put a loop in, because loops are easy. I don't normally build loops, but loops are easy and most people seem to like loops. Got some brakes on here. Well, that's it for today's episode. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. I'll catch you in the next video.